Right now, hundreds of kilometers above our heads, a crew of astronauts is traveling around the planet at nearly 28,000 kilometers per hour. For over 2 decades, the International Space Station has been humanity's permanent home in the stars. Operating in this laboratory requires complete adaptation to an alien environment. Every experiment and routine task has to be performed in cramped microgravity conditions, surrounded by dense webs of specialized equipment. Even basic biological functions require elaborate workarounds. To get a night of rest, astronauts strap themselves into vertical sleeping bags, firmly attached to the cabin walls, so they don't drift into delicate machinery. But this home is aging. The oldest modules have spent decades exposed to a harsh reality. They endure constant bombardment from micrometeoroids, extreme thermal cycles every 90 minutes, and relentless cosmic radiation. The station is a massive engineering triumph, built by a coalition of nations. Yet, the physics of low Earth orbit dictate a strict timeline. The materials are degrading, and the structure cannot survive forever. By roughly 2030, NASA and its international partners plan to bring this era to a close. The massive structure will be guided into a controlled atmospheric re-entry, with most of it burning up before the surviving fragments crash into a remote stretch of the South Pacific Ocean. This impending destruction contrasts sharply with the frantic early days of orbital habitation. The effort began in 1971, when the Soviet Union launched Salyut 1, proving that humans could actually live beyond the atmosphere. Successive stations pushed the timeline further. Mir hosted cosmonauts and astronauts for months at a time, generating the exact data on isolation and microgravity needed to build the ISS. When the ISS finally plunges into the ocean, it will take the largest human-made structure in space with it. That leaves a massive infrastructure vacuum, hundreds of miles above the Earth. For half a century, national governments held a monopoly on human spaceflight outposts. That monopoly burns up with the ISS. The challenge now is figuring out who pays to fill the void. A permanent human presence in orbit is already expanding beyond international coalitions. In 2022, China completed Tiangong, an independent, fully operational orbital laboratory capable of supporting long-duration human missions. Instead of designing and building a direct replacement, NASA is executing a strategic pivot. The agency is providing funding to private companies to develop and eventually take over operations in low Earth orbit. Companies like Axiom Space are already executing transition plans. Their strategy starts by attaching commercial modules directly to the ISS, before eventually detaching them to form a completely independent platform. Other concepts, like Orbital Reef and Starlab, are being designed from the ground up by partnerships between major aerospace firms. They are structuring these platforms to function as commercial business parks, moving away from the traditional government laboratory model. For the first time, a private company, not a national government, will own the airlock and the laboratory bench. NASA, once the landlord of low Earth orbit, is preparing to become one of many paying tenants on commercial station. Corporations are interested in this real estate because of the unique physics of the environment. Microgravity removes the stress of Earth's pull, opening up distinct advantages for scientific research. When materials are freed from gravity, they behave differently. Researchers are finding that fiber optic cables, complex new semiconductors, and certain pharmaceuticals can be manufactured with fewer defects and higher purity in space than they ever could on the ground. The second pillar supporting this new economy is tourism. Private citizens and commercial astronauts are already booking flights to experience orbital living firsthand. The product being sold is unlike any other destination. Guests watch city lights glow on the night side of the planet and experience a high-altitude sunrise every 90 minutes. Eventually, this results in a highly specialized multi-station ecosystem. One module or platform focuses entirely on biological research, another serves as a high-tech factory, and a third operates as an orbital hotel. The introduction of paying passengers and the export of orbital products changes the station's reason for being. Success is no longer measured solely by scientific papers, but by the viability of a market located 400 kilometers above the surface. Commerce and tourism can fund the construction of these new stations, but transitioning from short-term visits to permanent human habitation means solving severe biological problems. Without gravity, the human body quickly degrades. muscles atrophy, and bones lose density. To counteract this decay, astronauts endure roughly 2 hours of intense, mechanically assisted exercise every single day. Even with strict exercise regimes, a larger threat looms. Once human habitats move further away from the protective shield of Earth's magnetosphere, they face severe, constant exposure to cosmic radiation. Proving that a highly trained crew can survive in orbit for 6 months is only the first step. True permanent civilization requires engineering habitats that counteract the deadly physics of space. The most effective solution to biological degradation is generating artificial gravity. By spinning a massive ring-shaped station, engineers can create an outward force that mimics the pull of gravity on the human body. This concept scales up to the O'Neill vision, a theoretical framework from the 1970s proposing enormous, rotating artificial worlds. These structures are designed to hold millions of people, alongside fully functioning agriculture and heavy industry. Before building artificial worlds, humanity has to secure its immediate surroundings. The next generation of commercial space stations will serve as critical training grounds for NASA's Artemis program and the expansion to the lunar surface. Mastering closed-loop life support, food production, and psychological endurance in low Earth orbit is a mandatory prerequisite. Without these systems perfected, deep space missions to Mars are impossible. The International Space Station will ultimately burn up, but its legacy is secure. It serves as the vital, load-bearing bridge connecting the government-led space age of the 20th century to the commercial expansion of the 21st. In the coming decades, a child born in orbit may look through a reinforced window at the blue sphere below. They will see the cradle of their species, while the station remains the only home they have ever known. Would you ever live in a commercial space station if it became safe and affordable?